Hi, thanks to Julie for giving us a great overview of the project so far. And so I'm going to do a demonstration of the catalogue. So the example I'm going to talk through is from the perspective of a research scientist, Jane, who's interested in heart conduction disease and ryanodine receptors. And this is just to give us a sort of a concrete a sort of look at what you could possibly find in the EBiSC catalogue. And of course, the first thing you have to be able to do is actually find the catalogue. You can get to the catalogue from the main website. We have both a drop-down menu on the top of all pages that gives you a link, and then the front page also has a big button that just takes you straight to the catalogue. The actual domain name and URL for the catalogue itself is really quite straightforward. It's just cells.ebisc.org. So you can, just typing that into the address bar of your browser should work. And then this takes you to the landing page for the catalogue, which is actually a table that lists all of the cells. As you can see, I took my screenshots at the same time as Julie prepared her table, and at that point in time, we only had 84 cell lines. We now have 147. And so the size of the catalogue is growing quite a lot every day. So if you don't find something today that you're interested in, look again in a week, and it may well have changed. And I think, as Julie already said, if there's something you're particularly interested in, let us know, and we can potentially tell you if we think we are going to get lines that meet your needs. So trying to find things in the catalogue itself, you can start with the table. The table itself has the name of each line, the disease association of each line, or at the moment I think the majority of our lines still have no disease association, so are labelled as normal. The cell type that was used to generate the line, the biological sex of the line, and the institution that created it. You can also search across all of the lines through the box, so there's these sort of most sort of high-level description fields in the table, but there is a lot more data associated with the lines, and this is indexed in the search box. So if there's a piece of information that isn't in the table that you want to search for, it's worth putting it in the box, and if it's on the page, it will find it. There are also links at the top that just to give you more information, both from a customer perspective, or if you're a lab that's creating lines and you want to sort of enable distribution of the lines to a wide group of people, we're more than happy to talk and work out how EBiSC can help with that. So the table is going to get quite cumbersome to sort of browse. It's already got 147 lines in it. Hopefully, over the next few months, this will approach hundreds of lines. So what we have is filter menus that allow you to restrict the contents of the table to a particular categories of things. And so I'm now going to come back to the example of Jane and being interested in heart conduction disease to sort of show you how you can filter the table and how you can find more information about a particular line that you're interested in. So all of the filter menus are dropped down with checkboxes in them. So Jane would pick heart conduction disease because that's her disease of interest. And then when she sort of clicks to send the menu away, you can see underneath we have the chosen filter highlighted. If you actually pick more than one filter, all of the attributes you've picked from that filter menu appear. So if you want to switch one off, you can just do that by clicking the X next to the name of the filter. There is also a button to get rid of all of the filters. You realised actually you've picked the wrong combination of things. You want to start again. You can just get rid of everything at the same time. As you see here, for heart conduction disease, we actually have 5 lines or associated with it. I don't know if that number's gone up since we added more lines, but when we had 84, there were 5 lines that matched heart conduction disease. But as I said originally, Jane is actually particularly interested in the ryanodine receptors and RYR2. There's actually a recent publication about this gene and how it impacts heart conduction disease. So she puts the name of the gene RYR2 into the search box, and this reduces the table to just 2 lines. So there are 2 lines with an explicit mention of that gene. I should note at this point in time that Our search isn't currently terribly sophisticated, so if the word appears on the page, the search will find it, but if the word doesn't appear on the page, the search would not. So you couldn't search for ryanodine receptors because that isn't a field we index. We are looking at better ways to make the search sort of more intuitive and possible to search for related terms, but at the moment that isn't possible. But publications, if you find publications, you should be able to search for the publications that are linked to it. So now we go to view the cell line information. Obviously, the table only gives you a very small amount of information about each line. And Jane decides to pick line A. These lines are actually both from the same donor. They're just two biological replicates of each other. But just arbitrarily picking one of them, we click through and get to the summary page that contains all of the information that we have about the line. And so you have a sort of disease status which gives you not just the sort of headline disease diagnosis, but specific disease phenotypes. In this instance, it's a particular type of ventricular tachycardia, and there is a point mutation associated with it in the gene RYR2. There is general donor information, so the donor is a female, and she was between 45 and 49 when the sample was taken to create the line. The line was created in Germany, and she is Caucasian. There's also a cell line information pack, and this gives you details of any associated licensing or third-party obligations associated with the line, and the button that takes you to buy the line. I'm going to come back to purchasing lines when I've finished talking about the cell line information page. So as you scroll down the page, you then see we've got some additional information. There are sort of general information about who created the line, any alternative names there are for the line. So if you know the line by another name, you should be able to still search for that, and you should still be able to find it. It's just we will refer to it by the EBiSC official names. We also, if we have a publication associated with the line, it will be here. And you can also see images, again, sort of example images of the cells at particular time points. And then finally, at the bottom of the page, there is a series of tabs that give more detailed information about the derivation and culture conditions of the line. These are in tabs because at a certain point, the page just gets too long and you wouldn't be able to sort of get to and from, but the different tabs are the derivation techniques. This was an integrating retrovirus, the culture conditions, in this instance E8, any characterization, sort of virology screening, other sterility information, immunomarkers, and all of this. And all of this information actually comes from the line being registered in HESC-Reg. And then any karyotype and genotyping information we have. Again, we're working on ways to make it much easier to get access to this information. At the moment, we just have descriptions and pointers to where you might be able to get hold of it. But we're working on making that much easier. So Jane's looked at all this information and decided this is a good line to do her hypothesis testing. And so now we move on to how to purchase the line. So the first thing it's worth doing is downloading the cell line information pack. And I say this is a PDF that just tells you about third-party obligations. In this instance, because the line was reprogrammed with the Yamanaka factors, if you're using this in a commercial setting in particular, you might have to go and contact IPSC Academia Japan to make sure that they don't need a licensing agreement in order for you to be able to use it. Then you can actually buy the line. So the EBiSC website itself doesn't facilitate purchasing. All the distribution is done via ECAC, as Julie mentioned. So clicking on the purchase line takes you to the ECAC website. It actually opens up a new tab so you don't lose your place on the EBiSC website. And this page contains very similar information to what you also see in the EBiSC page. It's just presented in a different way because it's a different website. And so you have all the cell line information. If you scrolled all the way to the bottom of the page, you'd see pretty much exactly the same information as was presented on the cell line page for EBiSC. You can also add it to your basket. And then there is a series of help links for interacting with ECAC and buying lines from ECAC. So we add the line to our basket, and at this point, ECAC reminds you about the documentation you're going to need in order to be able to buy the line. And this is the general EBiSC access use agreement and the specific cell line information pack. And whenever you buy a line, you need to have signed both of these documents to show you've understood the requirements that are associated with the lines. And if you hit continue, it just confirms that the line has been added to your basket, and you can go on and carry on finding more lines or just move to checkout. So again, a piece of functionality that doesn't exist at the moment but we are working on is the ability to pick multiple lines on EBiSC and move to ECAC and buy all of them. At the moment, you have to sort of move back and forth between the EBiSC website and the ECAC website. ECAC remembers the contents of your basket, so you won't lose any information, or you shouldn't lose any information. But we are working hard to. We recognise this is probably one of the most important features that we don't have at the moment. But you can buy lines from ECAC, either paying them by credit card or by setting up a credit account with the organisation. And once you have sort of found all the lines that you wanted and started to check them out, the ECAC customer services will contact you and ask you about, you'll get opportunity to find out if there's any additional information you need about the lines, and they'll ask you for all of the paperwork you need to have signed in order to enable the purchase. And once all of the sort of bureaucratic hurdles are sorted, hopefully the overhead is not that high, then the lines will be dispatched to you, and you'll get them in labeled vials, and you can start doing your science. So, as I said, there's a number of features that we don't have in place at the moment. This is the first version of the catalogue, and we're working hard to improve it. So we want to have much better searching, so you can actually search by disease mutations and other information. We want to link to available omics data, so probably 50 or 60 of the lines in the EBiSC catalogue at the moment are from EBiSC, and the EBiSC lines are all have very deep characterization with RNA-seq, methylation, proteomics, all of these things. And we want to make sure that EBiSC links out to this information when it's available. One of the challenges there will be some of the information associated with the lines EBiSC have will not be open data, but will be managed access data because of the consent patients have signed when sort of handing over their biological material. And we're going to have to work out the best way to facilitate that so it's not a frustrating experience. We're planning to work with the literature mining team at the EBI to make sure we can find new publications that reference the EBiSC lines, and we can always link to the most recent publications on any particular line. And also, as I said, probably the most important functionality that we don't have at the moment is the ability for you to select multiple lines from EBiSC and then move to ECAC and buy all of them. I imagine if you want to buy many lines, it's going to be a little frustrating. I think ECAC would be very happy to help you if you generate a list of lines on the EBiSC site and then just emailed them to ECAC. I think they would definitely help you buy them without you having to go through their website and select 50 lines if you do want 50 lines. But that it would have to be an email conversation at the moment rather than being done automatically. So as Julie pointed out, EBiSC is the work of very many people, both the catalogue and the creation of the lines themselves, and we're all working very hard to make sure we produce a useful catalogue and a useful product for everybody moving into the future. So thank you very much for listening, and if anybody has any questions, now is the perfect time.